Wake up, sleepyhead.
It's party time!
Rock and roll will never die. At least not this Halloween.
You've heard of raising spirits from the dead by incantations, right?
Yes.
I did that by playing the record backwards.
You're kidding.
Sammi Curr. He's a rock and roll nightmare.
I am a big fan of yours. I've got all your records. Shut!
You're the babe, and babe is you.
This message is meant for me.
How can you listen to this stuff?
Shut it off! Shut it off!
What have you done to your stereo?
I wanted a new one.
Sammi Curr. His fans won't let him die. He won't let them live.
You should be loyal to your hero. Make it turn on you.
Trick or treat.
Looks like we better check out the party punch.
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle. Shock-Phobia Fest.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Shock-Phobia Fest, a month-long celebration of All Hallows Eve's most frightening films and comic spooks. And I'm feeling like death warmed up tonight, much like the main antagonist in this horror heavy metal cult classic that our good friend John Hammond, a Patreon and a wonderful, wonderful fella who supports all these podcasts and is well into all the kind of weird shit I'm into as well. So I thought of all the people to defend something weird and wacky, John was the man for that, making his podcast debut. Welcome to the show, John.
Blimey, that's quite the introduction, mate. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks for having me on, mate. I do enjoy this movie.
Oh, well, yes. Well, we're gonna get into it. I'm sure I can see where your kind of interests would be. I know you're a big fan of like Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors,
yeah, absolutely.
And that's got a heavy metal soundtrack as well. And there's a lot of people involved in a Nightmare on Elm Street film relation to this. So I can see why your kind of the DNA is kind of spreading across to this. So Trick or Treat from 1986. We have done on this podcast Trick or Treat or Trick or Treat. We've done the prequel comic book, the anthology comic book. We've done the film compared against another anthology. So this is it's unusual, this film. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this, the plot, or when you first saw this and your emotional connection?
Emotional connection.
Yes.
First saw this, I was probably a teenager. So when it was released in 1986, so I was 13. So it's probably a year or so later. It's come out. We've got the VHS rental, and there was a little shop down on the corner of town called Video Vision. Loved it. Spent my weekends there. Always in it, renting. Got on well with the owner. It was just me as a kid. Is what I did. And the cover, kind of, you're attracted to the cover, how you think with VHS. VHS covers it. They're incredible.
I mean, that was the social media of its day, wasn't it? It's like, even if the film inside is shit, at least some really nice kind of artwork. Your Deathstalker 2s and shit like that, but like inside the film is absolute garbage. But at least the art is nice.
Oh yeah. Some of the movies that you get, they were the absolute wank, mate. Excuse me, excuse me, language. Sorry.
No, you swear like a trooper. You go ahead.
Thank you very much. But because I liked hair metal. This was before Guns N' Roses, pretty much. You know, my favourite band, but you've got all the bands from before that, and it was like Whitesnake and whatever else, AC/DC. So to see Sammi Curr on the front cover of a VHS, but right, got to try it. And ever since, I've had it on VHS, ones you pick up in a pub for £1, which I used to do back in the day, because to be fair, I was in the pub when I was 14. And then obviously, I only have it on DVD now because it's not really a good Blu-ray release. Although Googling today and searching, I found there's a fucking 3-discer somewhere. So I need to get hold of that.
Yeah.
Apparently so, yeah, but I'd love to see it get like an Arrow video release or something like that.
I was going to say it needs a remaster. I think the audio needs remixing, and I think the picture, like it might be just a little bit too dark, maybe. I think
a little bit
too gloomy, but
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it could really do with that, and I think again mixing some of Sammi Curr's vocals, I was like, what the fuck did he just say? I can't understand a word he's fucking. There's just like so much effect on it. Like, you must be loyal to your heroes. You know,
it was.
You know, and I had to listen to it a couple of times. Like, what the fuck is he saying?
Yeah,
so much kind of effects on it. But
it does get confusing. But yeah, so I think you're right. Needs a remaster. Yeah,
Oh, definitely. Like, I think, and again, like I was posting today about it, just trying to get a few more comments before we recorded, and. You know, it is like I think it's growing in popularity as the years go on, because I think it's kind of that exploration of kind of what was going on at the time with the kind of satanic panic stuff and you know, there was like D&D movies that were like, D&D is evil, it'll turn you into a murderer, or you'll lose touch with reality. There's one with like Tom Hanks in. He's like the main character, and he goes fucking mental because he starts thinking he's like a real paladin or something. It's like one of his earliest roles, but it's very like Dungeons and Dragons is evil, turn you into a satanic rapist, you know, and all this sort of shit. But it does capture, and I think I read that some of the rock stars like Ozzy and Gene Simmons, they were not sure about this because they didn't want it to be, because already the Senate hearings, you've got like D. Snyder's in there, and people are having to defend their music, like you know, it's the McCarthy era, you know, communist witch hunts of its day. And I think Gene and Ozzy were a bit like, I'm not sure about this. Like, what is your stand on this? And I read they said that they say to be wary of things like I think it was called the PMRC. I think it's the People's Music something or other.
Okay.
I can't remember. Yeah, but basically they were trying to ban the music or at least censor it in some form or bring age ratings in. Yeah, typical kind of scaremongering. Won't someone think of the children?
Yeah. It's like the Barbara Whitehouse of the day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. But they kind of settled on the be wary of these religious and, you know, right-wing conservative groups, but also like these celebrity kind of like hero worship that we kind of still have to this day, you know. And you know, and like look at Lizzo and all the things she's been recently accused of, you know, allegedly. But you know, people are like, I'm so disappointed. It was like, it's not great to hear somebody's doing bad things, but just because you hold them up want to put them up on a pedestal, like what are you doing? Like, why are you making them this, you know, saintly figure? Sorry, I got very political then.
It's all right. It's all right.
I went on political. I just recorded Banned Books with Tonya, so we were talking about sort of similar things. So I was like, people banning Charlotte's Web. What's wrong with them? But yeah, it's kind of the same thing, and it's an interesting kind of mix with this. Being a young kind of metalhead, did you relate to the I love his name, by the way, the lead character's name, Eddie Weinbauer?
Eddie Weinbauer. I do. I have to admit, there's a lot of myself when I was teenager, whatever, in Eddie Weinbauer. dress sense. I used to have long hair, and I've got fuck all now.
You're not the only one.
The vest tops, the ripped jeans, the whatever else. And it was just me. And I went to an all boys school, grammar school. Fuck knows how that happened. But anyway, you wouldn't think so now. And yeah, there was a bit of that there.
Sure.
I will admit. And, there's the bullying stuff. I fucking hate bullying. I hate bullies.
Yeah.
It winds me up.
Same here. But they do get their comeuppance in this one, so there is that.
That's what I like. I didn't have the bollocks to give anyone the comeuppance when I was back in the day. So when I was that age, I didn't have it in me. Which, to be fair, Eddie didn't at first until he used the message on the record. But yeah, there was a lot of me in Eddie Weinbauer, I'll be sure. And it was probably, I was like 14 when I first saw it. I don't know how old Eddie is in this.
Yeah, it's probably around that. Probably around that age. Yeah, definitely kind of high school age. So I'd say probably around that sort of.
Yeah.
I guess.
So yeah, it was one of them movies that and I think that's probably why I've enjoyed it ever since. I still watch it to this day. I watched it last night, obviously in preparation for this, but it gets to run out at least once or twice a year. So I just fucking love it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a fucking Oscar winner, but there's just something that I really enjoy about it.
I will get into that a little bit. I will get into
Yeah. I know that.
You are here to defend it. You are here to bring a spotlight to it. But again, no film is perfect. Even the ones that are considered classics, they're not all all that. You shared a photo of the you've still got the album. You've still got the
man.
The LP. There it is.
It's missing a corner now though, so this is it's a bit old now. This
vintage.
It's something like that, yeah. But it still gets a spin on the record player that I've got over there.
Yeah, nice. It still works. Still good.
Right. Yeah, I love it.
Have you
and
tried?
If I'm working, I've got Alexa on.
Have you tried playing it backwards?
No, that's one thing I haven't. I've got nerve to do that.
You don't got the bollocks for that.
No, I'm not that brave. Not that brave at all. But yeah, I still have the record. I still listen to it a lot. I think it's a really good soundtrack. Fast Way, good British band. Fast Eddie.
Yeah, they were kind of a super group, weren't they? They were a combination of. It was the lead singer was from Motorhead. Is that right? Or
Fast Eddie Clark. Oh, yeah, good band.
Yeah. I think the soundtrack is actually pretty good, and it really does fit. I remember when I was reading up on it, they said that the lead singer from Wasp was interested in the role of Sammi Curr, and he was he was well interested. He was like, yeah, I love this. I want to bite a snake in half and cover the blood all over my
Oh god, yeah.
That's a great visual as well. Like for Sammi, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it was something that he wanted to Wasp to do the soundtrack as well. But as soon as he found out it was lip syncing to Fast Way, it was like, no thanks.
Yeah, I kind of understand. I get that.
Of course you do. I mean, he was a rock star in his own fucking his own thing, wasn't he? So yeah.
I kind of understand that. You don't want to mix the messages or make somebody think that this is your voice when it's not, or you're helping sell another group's rival's music.
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand that. We have to kind of talk about this. I've already mentioned it. The kind of Nightmare on Elm Street connection. So,
oh god,
yeah. It's everyone was back in the 80s. Everyone was like, "What's the new Freddy? Who's the new Freddy?" The house that Freddy built, New Line, and they were like, and Dino De Laurentiis, who famous for making, I think King Kong he did, and loads of other kind of big kind of crazy over the top kind of big blockbuster movies and all sorts. You'll know him, you'll have seen his DEG Entertainment and stuff, and he's all over this, and he saw the criminally underrated Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge, the most homoerotic film I've ever seen. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree on that. And I agree also that he's very underrated.
Again, it breaks a lot of the rules that Wes Craven, but I think in its own right, it's kind of interesting. I still need to watch the documentary about it. I want to. Was it Scream? Is it Scream Comic Queen? I think it is something like that.
Yeah, Scream Queen.
Yeah,
called.
that's it.
It's really good, actually. Yeah, I'd recommend that. Yeah.
But Dino De Laurentiis, he was like, right, I want a movie called Trick or Treat, and I want a pumpkin-headed killer. All right. So he got the producers and the writers of Freddy's Revenge, and they were like, right, let's make something. And they were like, we don't really want to just do, because he's kind of riffing on Halloween, riffing on Nightmare on Elm Street. They were like, no, we want a new Freddy. Yeah. So they were like, what about this whole thing that's going on? I think it was Rhett Topham, who was the main story credit goes to, and he's a metalhead. Eddie Weinbauer is based on himself. He dresses like Eddie Weinbauer, so their main inspiration for Eddie Weinbauer in this is Rhett Topham. Apparently, he wrote a slightly darker story, slightly darker in tone. But when Charles Martin Smith, who was the director and probably most famous for being an actor in The Untouchables, and
I think so,
Starman and American Graffiti, he came on board, and I think they all agreed that they needed to kind of soften it a little bit and just make it a bit more like a wacky, fun kind of October release. Right. So I think there is a bit more of that in the first half. That kind of the tone of it being like the kind of slapsticky stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the first half it does a good job of setting the story up, to be fair, of Eddie, but it comes across as doesn't come across as a horror movie, more a teenage angst movie type of thing, as opposed to horror. But obviously the second act, cracks on a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This second half goes up to 11. Let's say.
Yeah, does it ever?
Yeah, slowly but surely. So do you want to give people the...
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, do you want to give kind of people the plot, kind of a gist of what the film's about?
Yeah, Eddie Weinbauer, a metalhead, as we know, bullied by, what are they, jocks? You call them jocks?
Yeah, I guess jocks.
Bullied by the jocks. I'm not really good on plots, I'll be honest. Bullied by the jocks, wants to get his own back, wants to give him the comeuppance, and thanks to Nuke and his fancy ass record, when he plays it backward, what's the word I'm looking for?
Is it backmasking? I think they call it.
Yeah, backmasking. That's the word. Backmasking. Yeah, I think that's what they call it. Yeah, kind of retrieves the spirit of Sammi Curr, his idol, forever, and. He kind of chaos ensues, I guess.
Pretty much. That's a pretty succinct description of the film, I think. So he kind of, because he's died recently in a hotel fire. He's his idol. He's his, he's a rock god. He writes him it's very Eminem and Stan at the beginning, isn't it? Because he's writing him letters. And he's like, Dear Slim, that sort of thing. It's a Ragman. Ragman. Ragman, which I think in some territories it was sold as Ragman.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think there's a Blu-ray release where its title is Ragman.
Yeah, I guess there's probably a lot. I know there's a film called Trick or Treats. There's Trick or Treat. I'm sure there's a lot of other films called Trick or Treat as well. So they're probably wanting to differentiate in some way. But yeah, like I wasn't very clear on this because there's a few things I'm not very clear on in this film. Like, does Eddie, does Sammi know about Eddie? Is he familiar with Eddie? Are they, is he writing them back? Are they friends, or is he getting letters? Because Eddie's convinced this record is for him. It's made for him. The messages are directly for him. And is that him being accurate? He's being, this is for me, this is definitely for me, or is it him going, oh, he must have read all my letters, and he believes in that kind of god worship of Sammi Curr? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think about it. I don't think it is very clear. I get the impression that maybe Sammi or whoever someone's obviously going to have read his letters, but I would go more with the latter as opposed to the former. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily for him. I think it's almost like the spirit of Sammi just latching on to Ragman and basically sees him as a conduit. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I can see that.
Come out and do his bidding for him, make him complicit in what he wants to do. It's almost like Sammi wants his revenge on the school as well, as much as Eddie wants his revenge on the bullies.
Yeah, you're right, because they're from the same hometown, and Sammi is supposed to play the high school at Halloween night.
Yeah, and he was turned down, wasn't he?
And yeah, because he's so controversial, such a controversial figure. But he died anyway, and we see this like image of him like kind of there's the pentagram. He sat there and he's kind of like, and there's people just randomly burning in the background.
Burning away.
He's just like, ah! And he's just like, and you hear him on the record like, I'm like speaking in tongues, and he.
It was a bizarre little scene.
Yeah, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's kind of odd, and like he keeps playing this record backwards, and slowly but surely he gets kind of like these cryptic clues. Eddie's like, I think the first one's like, "You're the bait is you," or something like that. And you know, I wouldn't understand what that would mean, but apparently it's quite clear to Eddie.
It's clear to Eddie,
yeah. I did really quite enjoy that chase sequence through the school. It was quite. It's quite charming.
It was, it was, and it was very much. I think it was the same. It was just born out of the 80s, I think, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
We saw stuff like that a lot, but yeah, I enjoyed
it feels very kind of Ferris Bueller, doesn't it? Like running around, and then they go into like the library, so they have to be quiet and not make any noise. So they're kind of chasing him, but being really like just like do nothing's going on here. And then he goes through one door. He goes to open one door, but goes through the other door, and they spray the staff, the teaching staff, and get in trouble. And there's that bit where the guy goes through the door, but there's like he slips on something, and he just slides like down the stairs, like the most comical like. Whoop. Like they should have. I don't even know if they had a sound effect, but it was just like, whoop, proper arse over tit fall. That
it was. It was funny. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and there's those kind of moments where it is kind of light and fluffy and fun, and again, but then there's like moments where, like the bit like. To be fair, this bit probably hasn't aged well, but I saw another more recent film recently that does the same thing, where it's like, right. Strip nude the student and throw him somewhere, throw him in a different room. That's not something you would probably do nowadays. I think you would hope so, not in high school or something like that.
I would hope not.
But also almost murdering him in the swimming pool as well.
But to be fair, it was in the shallow end.
He could have just stood up. He should have been. He would have been fine. He would have been fine. Yeah. But no, and he was like, and he thinks that the girl he likes, who unfortunately, she's in the film, but she's not really in the film.
No, she's not. No, she's not Leslie.
Yeah, she doesn't really do much or have much kind of agency of her own. There's not much she. I don't know. I think it's again one of those typical signs of the time. Unfortunately, that it just didn't. She could have had something more to do, but then she's like, she's being attacked by one guy. Sammi Curr's trying to kill her because that's when Eddie goes, oh, I don't want to do this anymore because you're getting close to actually killing and murdering people. And
he had 5 minutes though.
He had 5 minutes. So he's like, yeah, murder's fine. And then he's like, no, murder's not cool because you hurt a lady, you hurt a woman, you melted a woman's ears off. That I don't like. That. And that whole demon section as well, like in the car, that's another thing that doesn't quite make sense to me. Is
no, it doesn't to me either.
So the acetate, like for some reason, I remembered that I felt like I remembered that the acetate had like Sammy's ashes like made into it or something or something like that. I don't think that's in the film. I don't think so. I think that's just my headcanon. I was like, oh yeah, he made it out of his own ashes, even though he was dead or somebody else did it. Or I thought that was the thing. And then Nuke's got to play it. So Nuke, who's played by Gene Simmons, he's playing like a Wolfman Jack kind of character.
Yeah.
And he's great actually in the small role. Probably the best acting he's ever done, I think I've seen.
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah, I enjoyed him.
But it's interesting with his character because he gives Eddie the acetate to play, and he's like, "Be careful, it's a one of a kind. I've made a tape. I'm going to play it at Halloween," and he gives him this really sinister look as he leaves, and like part of me was like, "Is he in on it, Sammi?" Because he was like, "I know Sammi. Yeah, I knew Sammi. He used to come here and he did it to himself, and he's hates himself, doesn't like himself, and he was damaged. But here's the last thing he ever made. Go and play it.
Yeah."
And then later, he's not at the radio station.
He's not there. He's gone. Yeah. I thought that as well. I do wonder. It's he in cahoots with Sammi here.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot of these moments where I'm like, is there something just left on the cutting room floor where it was like, this happened. I know there was a sequence where like Eddie's having a kind of a fantasy, and it's like he becomes like a Frank Frazetta, Conan the Barbarian type. The scene doesn't exist apparently, but there was a photo of it in like Fangoria or something. But it got cut from the scene. But like Leslie's, holding onto his leg, and he's holding like a sword in the air, very, very, very Conan the Barbarian, or something, or from the magazine Heavy Metal. In fact,
that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of it. Like why does he need to play it on Halloween? Like what? And Eddie Weinbauer Leslie goes, sensibly. Leslie goes, what happens if the track's played on Halloween? He goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank you for that. That's really interesting. I'm really glad I don't know what's going to happen, so I must stop.
Not really explained, is it?
Yeah,
at all. Unfortunately.
And they made tapes of it. They made copies of it. They've recorded it.
Yeah.
What does it feels like almost like a prototype kind of The Ring in a way. Like it's like a haunted, like
through the radio.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of, it feels like if they stuck with that idea, that could have been interesting. The record keeps getting played or keeps getting copied, and things like that. So not VHS, but kind of tapes and LPs and stuff. There's a lot of that I kind of don't understand. I think it's like with Freddy, for example. The main conceit of Freddy is that you fall asleep, he gets you.
Yeah.
You dream, he gets you. That's it. But like with this, I'm not saying we need rules or explaining why everything happens, or Sammi eventually comes out of the record and is this electrical being, this kind of electro type character, and again he's got burns like Freddy. He's doing a lot of sexual gestures with his hands, a lot of pointed fingernails, fingering like plug sockets and all that.
Oh God, yeah. A wet willy in a plug socket. Yeah, okay.
You're in for a shock. You're certainly in for a shock.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think there's potential here, and I feel like in some ways I think they just needed to just push it just a little bit further, or explain it just a little bit more, or kind of maybe cut some of the other weirder scenes, or the ones where like Glenn Morgan, who was a writer on X-Files. Final Destination, that's him.
Yeah. I only found out that was Glenn Morgan as I was getting ready to do this. That's bizarre. I never knew that.
Yeah, directed the Black Christmas remake and the Willard remake.
I fucking love X-Files.
And he did, and they did uncredited writing. Him and I think, is it Tony Wong? Is it Tony?
Yeah.
They both did uncredited writing on this script. So that the reason this kind of stuff kind of works, and you kind of can feel that energy and that kind of that Freddy energy, because and Kevin Yeager worked on the makeup in this as well, and he was brought over from Freddy's Revenge, and they would go on. I think all of them would go on to work on Freddy's Nightmares, the TV show as well. So it's crazy that the kind of amount of talent involved, I think, makes the film as good as it is. You don't sound so convinced.
No, I am. I'm just, as I'm talking about it now, I'm kind of finding holes in it, stuff like that.
I don't want to break your heart.
I don't want to do that, Dan. Come on.
Sorry, this is what I do. I'm joking. I will challenge you a little bit.
Fine, mate. It's fine, mate.
It's great fun, though. It's great fun.
Oh God, yeah, it is.
And there's some great visuals. I think the special effects hold up as well for the most part. The electricity the burning, like all the burning stuff, like all the fires and stuff.
It does look good. It does look good.
And I have to say, it's probably better than Charles Martin Smith's other efforts, like Air Bud and A Dolphin's Tale.
Come on, I'm not what to talk about then now.
He likes it for some reason. He does very well. Like Dolphin's Tale, like made shit ton of money for some reason.
Yeah,
he seems to do like lovely, like little cuddly animal films. But he doesn't like. He said he doesn't like horror. He doesn't like horror, so that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe he wanted to stretch his legs or try something different, or maybe this was his first chance to.
I think it was his debut, his debut, his directorial debut. Sorry, I think with this one.
Yeah, maybe
it doesn't do a bad job, but like you said, there are bits and bats, there are holes in it.
I think again, it might be all the script revisions. I think unfortunately, you revise a script so many times, things just
it's going to happen.
Just things just drop out of the script, and you're just like, oh, we've kept this line, but it doesn't really make sense, or we kept that, but we didn't keep that, and that is kind of integral to this bit. So yeah, it's an interesting. It's not a bad film. I just think there was more potential here if they'd kind of you could just push it over the edge, and I think it could have been a great film as opposed to like a good film, like a fun film. There's definitely something there, and and people really enjoy it. Like you said, like there's a huge kind of cult following. I imagine there's a lot of kind of heavy metal bands and stuff out there that kind of watch this on tour, and I can imagine them like, oh yeah, let's watch Trick or Treat, yeah.
Yeah, this is what we were like back in the day. Sorry.
This is the way it is. This is the way it is. And like doing the research on this, like there's such a connection between like heavy metal and horror, like going back as far as like Alice Cooper or hard rock as well, like wherever hard rock meets heavy metal, that's your opinion. I couldn't even say where that begins, when that ends, but there's always been some sort of kind of theatricality and this kind of the darkness and these kind of weird folk tales and stories, and yeah, it's an interesting kind of. I mean, they work. Like I love like Deathgasm is a great one if you've seen that.
I've never seen
Oh
it.
Mate, you've got to see Deathgasm. It is fantastic.
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
I do think that heavy metal it's a perfect fit for horror, but I don't think we see it now as much as we did back in the 80s, and I think that was because, as you said before, the Satanic Panic stuff.
Well, it was exploitation, wasn't it? It was heavy metal or hard rock exploitation. It was going, oh, this is popular, this is in the news, let's fucking like drill down into this, like let's get on it, because you want to try and stay current and popular and what's going and reflect what's going on in society, and I think you're right, we don't get this. However, they have announced they're doing a sequel to Deathgasm.
I'm gonna have to catch up.
It's a Kickstarter. I think they called it. It was something like Armageddon or Godmageddon or something like that. But I think I might put some money towards it.
You're gonna go for it, yeah.
I think not many I do, but I did really like. It's kind of a heavy metal Evil Dead, like.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, there you go. I know Mike Burton's a fan, and so am I. So yeah. Okay. I'd give it a go if you get a chance. I really enjoyed it. It's fun. It's it's silly. It's it doesn't. It's an interesting mix of all those kind of tropes from those kind of early like highly influenced by Trick or Treat and all the other kind of stuff that was coming out at the time. But yeah, cool. I highly recommend that. That's from I want to say 2015. So it's been out for a little while, but quality.
Nice one. I'll check it out.
Lots of practical effects and blood going everywhere. Love it.
Good. I like a good practical effect. Definitely. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll try that.
No worries. I like recommending. So Gene Simmons had acted before. Like he's been in God knows how many things. He was in Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I haven't.
No. I don't think he does any acting in that, but not many of them do. But yeah, it was kind of like a weird Scooby-Doo-esque adventure, but with Kiss.
Oh, okay.
But it's a thing. It exists, so check it out if you want. But, and he was in a lot of other stuff. But so he knew how to. He's got that down. He's got that patter. He's got he's had the practice. Ozzy not so much.
The irony in having Ozzy Osbourne there. Oh my word!
Oh, have you seen The Dirt?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, that is a fucking cracking film. And I love that bit where like Ozzy's slotting up all the ants. Like that's like side of the swimming pools. It's just like, and you think Motley Crue's fucking mental, and then you're like, and they're like, fucking hell, Ozzy's here, fucking hell.
That's it. No, that's the Motley Crue are tame compared to that fucker.
Exactly.
Christ almighty.
But he's not. His memory's not the best, even back then. You know, and since then, I don't think it's ever been great. His
no, it's never been great, and he proved that in this.
And he proved that in this because they were like, you know what, Oz, we won't give you a script. And he was like, okay then. And he plays this preacher, this evangelical preacher who's I think he improvised about 45 minutes worth of stuff. So they probably like just turn the camera on, let him go. And he just pretended to be all the people, you know, your Mary Whitehouses and all those kind of people. And he just went off on one. Again, he's not in the movie very much, but you know, it's quite entertaining to see him of all people. Like, it becomes almost like a parody, or there's a parody and kind of satirical elements to this film, which I quite enjoyed as well.
Definitely, he's certainly memorable in this movie as Ozzy Osbourne. Whether it's for just the character, or whether it's the mistakes he makes, or just the complete and utter bullshit. And he's going, "What's up with I love you?" It's a good word.
I always remember, like, do you remember Little Nicky, the Adam Sandler film?
I'm not an Adam Sandler fan, so I've never seen.
Fair enough. So Ozzy turns up at the end. It's all about like the son of the devil going up and trying to stop his other brothers. It was something I went to the cinema to see. I quite enjoyed at the time. Again, it's a bit shit, but I like it.
Fair enough.
But there's a moment where Ozzy comes and he's kind of the savior of. He gives Little Nicky, like, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But he's in it, and he's like, "Oh, it's Ozzy Osbourne," and he's got this white suit, and he's like, and he goes, and it's not his voice that they use.
All right, okay.
It's like it goes, "Here, use this," and it's like, and you just like, did they record it? And they were like, "We can't understand what he's saying."
No.
He can't get a word out.
No.
So it's this really odd kind of, like, I don't know what kind of voice it is or what they decide of it. It's like, "Yeah, use this," like a kind of shit Vincent Price or something. Bizarre choice. But Quentin Tarantino is also in that film, and he plays a mad preacher as well. So
okay.
Bit of a weird one, that one. You know,
it is a weird one, but you know, you won't forget he's in it.
I won't. Rodney Dangerfield, Harvey Keitel, who else? Rhys Ifans is in it. It's fucking Patricia Arquette's in it. You name it. Like everybody is in that film, and it's weird and shit.
That's a good cast.
It is a good cast. Film not so great, but I still have a soft spot for it. Early Adam Sandler, I like. Later Adam Sandler, not for me.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Fair enough.
Speaking of the music, so the all of Sammi Curr's music was composed by the band Fastway and Christopher Young, who was inspired by a lot of all the kind of heavy metal. You know, they basically, like, they show Eddie Weinbauer's room, and it's got Ozzy Osbourne there, like Megadeth and all of them. But he's quite a well-known composer. He did Hellraiser 2, The Gift, Urban Legend, Drag Me to Hell, Spider-Man 3,
nice.
A lot of Sam Raimi stuff, Ghost Rider, The Uninvited. So again, like, quality talent. Kevin Yeager,
absolutely.
Kevin Yeager, as you said before, like, you know, just absolute quality people behind the camera. Yeah, I think it's as good as it's. Again, like I said, it was as good as it's going to be with the people behind it. But again, I think it's just the writing that kind of just, like, all of a sudden just drops out, and I'm like, there's a hole here. There's like a massive hole here, and it's frustrating. It frustrates.
It is. It's really frustrating. It is for me, because I've been a fan of this for like nearly 40 years.
To be fair, it's a good, like, turn your brain off film, though. I think if you can ignore those kind of, like, how does this work? What are the rules? You know, I'm not one that I'm like, everything has to make sense and everything needs to be explained. We need exposition off the wall, explaining how everything works and what the universe does and all this. I don't always need that. Sometimes I'll just put it on and I'm like, yeah, this is entertaining. But I think I think there was just again, it was just needed a little bit more to get that over the edge, and where I'm like, no, I like this. This is really good. I love it.
Yeah. No, that's fine, and I do understand that. It's like for me, when I watch something, I don't think about continuity. I don't think about holes in the plot. I just don't think of it. If I watch it and enjoy it, I enjoy it and I love it, and that's it. And that's what I've always done with this until you asked me on here.
Sorry, I've ruined it. I've ruined it for you. I've broken your heart.
You haven't ruined it, man, because I still love it. But it's just you find yourself because I'm doing this with you tonight. You're kind of looking a little bit closer.
Yeah, of course.
And I've never been like that. I just watch the movie, enjoy it. Same with music. Like the guys on the mandatory music and CD, they're what's lyrical about music. I don't know anything hardly about what they're chatting. I just listen to music and fucking enjoy it, and that's it.
I couldn't critique music the way they do. The guys on mandatory music, Dave, Max, and Tony, they are like music snobs, not snobs, but music aficionados, let's say. They know it. Like that's why I find it so interesting to listen to that, because I don't know, and I like yourself couldn't critique that or say, oh, I don't like that, or that track doesn't work, or it's a bit shit. So I'd just be like, the first album I ever bought really was fucking Limp Bizkit's Hot Dog Flavored Water and the Chocolate Starfish, or the other way around, I think. It's an absolute shite album, but it was a very important album to me. And again, people are like, I enjoyed Nickelback. I had all these kind of like, again, nobody, everyone will come up and go, what a load of shit, what crap. And I'm like, yeah, I like U2. People say, oh yeah, they're shit as well. And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind U2. Basically every bit of music I like. I even have a soft spot for Maroon 5, and people are disgusted and spit on me when I say that. But there you go. Like that's my choice, my opinions on stuff. But I'm with you. I very rarely will go in on something on it with a critical eye first time round. I'll try not to. I do have a I kind of predict a lot of stuff when I'm watching it, like watching things like if they the Chekhov's gun stuff, I'm like, well, that's going to come back, and and all this sort of stuff. So I can kind of, even spoil. I can if there's a twist coming, I can usually figure it out. Not being all kind of smarmy about it, but basically like I can most likely figure out, just because I know kind of story structure and I can predict things, and I also predict what people are going to say and finish their sentences for them, and I'm sure they hate that. So I'm like, they're going to say this now, so I might as well say it. Speed up the conversation. Let's do it. Stop interrupting me, Dan. You fucking prick. What are you doing? But yeah, I just I did have a lot of fun with this. I know I've got Paul Meller, who's a big fan of this film as well. Like he mentioned it to me. I think I don't know if it was earlier this year or the year before, but I was like, don't worry, this was already on the list of Halloween films that I may or may not cover in the future. But I'm covering it now. So yeah, it's fun, it's silly. Sammi Curr as a character, I think, like they went with a dancer called Tony Fields. He was one of the. Yeah. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He died of I think it was a HIV/AIDS related heart problem, unfortunately. But fucking hell, what a presence! Like,
I think he's brilliant. I think he's absolutely perfect for the role, without a doubt. And what I love about Sammi Curr is that, because I'm a fan of obviously the music from the 80s, he's like he's the perfect mix of like Ozzy Osbourne, Dee Snider, Gene Simmons himself, and whoever else. He's like all those put into one perfect rock star. And I think Tony Fields is just fantastic. And I love these little twirls he does as well.
Oh yeah.
When he's at the dance. He's just showing off his dancing skills, isn't it?
I love that moment where he at this point he's kind of outside. I love that bit where he's like fuck them all, kill them all, fuck them.
Yeah.
I love that bit. And then he comes out of the stereo and then he jumps into, and then he's kind of an electric being and he jumps in the plug socket and can travel through the outlets and things. And Eddie's like smashing up his like all of his sound system. His mum's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I wanted a new one." I love his mum as well. Like he's slowly like discovering, like it's almost like she's never been in his room his entire life.
Yeah. I found his mum a right character. It was just she walked in and she was taking his washing and all the Sammi Curr was giving him a bit of shit with all the music going loud and stuff like that. And he stood it there just because sometimes I think Eddie Weinbauer for 5 minutes of that movie is a bit of a dick. I do think he's a bit of a dick, but we can come to that whenever.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm interested here where you think he's a dick. I'm interested.
Yeah. But the way she stood there, and she's absolutely shit scared of her son. And mother shouldn't be scared of her son. But then later on, it's all, nothing wrong. Get to bed.
Yeah.
I'm going out. You're grounded. I'm going out with Stan. We've got to talk about Stan.
Yes. Now that's a character. That is an iconic character. Forget Sammi Curr. Stan is the iconic character.
Stan's the man.
Is she dressed? Is she, because it's Halloween, so they're going out. He's grounded because he broke all the stuff. So he's staying in. He thinks he's destroyed all of Sammy's music, but Glenn has the tape and he plays the tape. And Sammi comes and he's like, "You better play my music at the Halloween dance." And that's when we get that amazing kind of sequence where he's like, Kevin Yeager's the lead guy in the band until like Sammi absolutely, disintegrates him, and then takes over, and he's like, he's banging, and I love there's an androgyny to his performance, Tony Fields, as well, and there's a campness to it.
There is,
but again, it fits, it works, it absolutely works within that, and the kind of because again, hair metal was all about blokes looking like women at the time, wasn't it? They had all the hair products, the makeup, and everything. So yeah, it absolutely. And there's there's a bit of Jagger in there. I love the spins and the stuff, and again, like the fingering of his own mouth and shit like that. Proper like I'm evil, like proper all that sort of stuff. And Sammi, but Tony Fields, he had a photo shoot with Ozzy and Gene, and again, he did a lot of work. He studied. He was. He studied all these different bands and their performances, and I think there was a music video with Fastway that he was in as well.
Yeah.
And he even spent some time with real bands, like on the road with real bands, because he wanted to get into character. And the day they had that photo shoot with Gene and Ozzy, and I shared one of those photos earlier in the week, and they basically, both of them said, "You're it. You are exactly you are embodying everything about this, about heavy metal, hard rock, all these kind of these heroes, these gods, and he's becoming that. And he's this evil dark god, and he's taking it that much further. And whatever his plan is, we never really find out.
No, we don't. It's revenge more than anything, I think.
Yeah, just like I don't
not on the people who were at school when he was there. Just any fucker who's there now.
No, it's just like, who's alive? Let's kill them. Kill them all. Fuck them all. Just the school. He was just maybe it's just society. Maybe that's it. He just wants revenge on society because they've banned his music. They've stopped him from doing things, and again, it's in line with those real life things that were going on. But yeah, awesome. I love that performance of the title track is Trick or Treat, and he performs that song at the high school, and it's glorious, that sequence.
Oh, I agree. It's a cracking song. Reminiscent a bit of AC/DC, I think. I think there's a bit of AC/DC in that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the best track on the album, without a doubt. And I think, it was just brilliant. The performance, I'd love to have been in that fucking crowd.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, maybe not when he started, shocking the fucking
when he's like shooting death rays out of his guitar. Yeah, maybe not. It was like, what a way to go, though. What a way to go.
Well, there is that. Yeah, absolutely.
That's another kind of Freddy thing with him like emerging and using the televisions and the it's prime time, bitch, and all that, that whole thing where he's like, because Ozzy's on the TV and he like kind of, and he pulls that old lady, that Mary Whitehouse character.
Oh, yeah.
He pulls her out.
Oh, that scene is amazing. But then Roger's hoovering her up. Oh. He's proper going for it with Uber.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my mum's gonna be home soon. Oh, I've got this old lady's corpse burnt. It's not even like a full corpse. It's just like half her body just like destroyed. Just
amazing.
I think Roger's like his line. I didn't realize until this time round. I was like, actually, like Roger's actually like his lines are hilarious. Like all of his kind of he's the wisecracking like best mate, isn't he? So,
yeah.
But I actually think
bit of a perv as well, though, isn't he?
Yeah, there's that bit where he's looking up the girl's skirt and like,
Okay.
But
won't film that now.
No, exactly. Certain things don't age well, but that's we've acknowledged them. We move on. But yeah, that was a bit weird. That, but like he's blatantly doing it as well. Like she can clearly see, she can clearly see him. It's not like she's a million miles up a ladder or anything. She's like two steps up, and he's just there going like
Yeah, he's really thinking about it, isn't it?
He's like really contemplating, taking that in, and it's like, what are you doing? You were talking about Eddie Weinbauer being a bit of a dick. Is that kind of?
It's fair. That fits in with the scene that we're just chatting about.
Fair enough.
So obviously, Eddie's had his first real success over Tim, played by Doug Savant. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Savant. Idiot Savant, I think.
Yeah. Do you know what? Doug Savant is an actor who I thought I'd seen in shitloads of things. I looked on his IMDb, not seen him that much.
I remember him on Desperate Housewives. That was the first thing I saw him in.
Oh,
yeah.
No, not been there. Sorry.
Not your bag. Fair enough. Wasn't my bag. Wasn't my bag either. But I was quite into older. I'm quite into older women, so I think I was, Terry Hatcher and Eva Longoria. I was kind of like, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one of the.
Anyway,
he was one of the husbands. Put up on husband. But that was the first thing I saw in him. But I think he's in Godzilla as well. Actually, the 98 one.
So it's after Eddie's first real success of when Tim's been a bit of a dick to him, with the tie metal machine 666 crush.
Oh yeah, crush 666 crush 66, and he figures out that it's the room. It's like the tool, the workshop kind of.
Yeah. That was well figured out, to be fair.
Again, like very, very obscure like things. He's like, it must be this. Like immediately, he just knows.
So anyway, so you've got Roger, he's looking up the girl's skirt, and Eddie's walking down, peppy after his little bit of success.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Roger. Leslie walks up and is like, "Oh, I like what you're wearing. What are those? Jeans? They look good." And he's acting like, he's almost like, don't know, acting like he thinks it's a bit of a joke and how look good you look and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it says, "Look good on you." And what's the way? He's like, "Ciao." And that really winds me up. Just for those few minutes, right? He comes across, because he's all peppy and he's all cocky and stuff like that, and I think he comes across as a bit of a dick, and I don't like it at all. And I kind of think, well, I hope you get a smack in the eye now. I mean, I don't really mean that.
It's all right. It's all right. He's not here. He's not going to listen. Eddie.
No, I know, but it's just for those, just for that few seconds. I think he's a bit of a dick. Before, obviously, that happens with Jeannie.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think, shit, we've gone too far. Let's sort this out.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's the point. I think because he's got his confidence, he's like, oh, I'm going to be.
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I know. Like it's when you're a kid and you do what you think is cool, But like I had a friend who bought a motorcycle because he thought it was the cool thing. And we were like, no, you're still a nerd, mate. You're still a proper nerd. Like you just have a motorbike. And he's like, no, I'm cool. I'm cool, so cool. And I went through a similar thing. I thought this will make me cool, or this will make me cool, or I'll be cool once I have this. And then eventually I realized, oh, that's all shit. None of that worked. So yeah, I just was like, I'll just be myself from now on. That I'm more happy that way. But and we see him like, he's like, oh, hey girl, what are you doing? Where you wearing jeans, you absolute bellend.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought you're a fucking dick, and shut up now, go away.
Yeah.
But then it all changes straight after, because then we get that scene with Jeannie, which is itself bizarre too. Sorry, go on, Dan. You was going to say something.
No. Talk about that scene. I'm more interested in that now.
What about that scene? Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. And why are you interested in that scene?
I know Chris Phelps would be interested in that scene.
Oh, Chris Phelps would have a fucking weekly wank story for that one. Oh, absolutely. Or he'd be putting his shoulder out, I think. Aside from the whole awkwardness of the scene, and to be fair to the actress, I forget her name now. Elise something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I mean, fair play to her for carrying out that scene. It's the brave thing to do, because it was just she must just be there on her own and doing a thing. But then the most bizarre thing about it, aside from the green glow, aside from the neon glow, is it's like they've got Zool from Ghostbusters fucking with big tongue out doing his thing. It's like, what? And that to me as well felt a little bit out of place. I didn't get it.
Didn't like that then. It didn't feel within the tone of the film.
It didn't. I just thought it felt a bit out of place in the movie. The beast, the Zool, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It felt a little bit out of place. What about yourself?
Yeah, I did. I read up on this, and I was like, so it's called the demon has a name as well. It's Skeezix.
Right,
so apparently the director, like Iron Maiden has Eddie, kind of a mascot.
Yeah.
So they wanted Sammi to have like a demonic mascot. So this was this creature. So if you look carefully on that, that big picture Eddie has of Sammi in his room, on his chest there's a tattoo of the demon. But again, like we don't know this. Like it's not in the script. Like we don't know what that represents, or if that's anything. It's just like there's a fucking demon now. It's not Sammi. It's it's just a fucking demon.
Right.
It is something out of Demons. Definitely, it feels something.
Oh god, yeah.
Something fucking off the wall bizarre. Again, it's very short. It's kind of gruesome as well. Those effects on the ears when the headphones, and that's again. I like the imagery of the headphones being like glued on, and he pulls the headphones off, and the kind of all the sinew and skin comes with it. It's really fucking gross and disgusting.
It is.
And and again, you've got that kind of standard. There's a bit of nudity, there's a bit of this and that.
Standard for the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be some titillation, isn't there?
Yeah.
What surprised me about rewatching this as well is apart from that scene with the ears and the headphones, there's not really any gore.
No, there's not. It's more supernatural horror than anything, I think.
Yeah, they go a lot more with the kind of electrical deaths or the explosions or the fire. But there's nothing like and when they pull them out of the TV or they affect the TV, it's like a burnt corpse, but there's no blood.
Yeah, but there's no blood guts or anything like that, is there? No, you're right. Yeah, and I don't think it needs it. If we made it now, we'd probably get a load of CGI gore.
Yeah, true.
But I'm not. I'd always rather see a practical effect than CGI.
It's interesting as well, because like the 80s are very like the rating system and what was kind of allowed and not allowed and R-rated and NC-17 and stuff was all a bit kind of wobbly, like Temple of Doom and 12As and or PG-13s, whatever you want to call them. It was all it's kind of even that way now. Like some directors, they'll be like, oh well, we want this to be a 15, and they're like, well, it really should be an 18, but I'm Christopher Nolan, I want it to be a 15. That was the same with like Spielberg and some of his stuff. Some of them have kind of clout with the ratings board if they like them. But it's interesting we get the nudity and and the gory bit there, but the rest of it is very like quite tame, really. Like it's more like almost like an action movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yes. I think I know how to fix the beginning of the film. Do you want to hear my idea?
Yes, please.
Not that the film's broken, but I all respect to you, John.
It's all right. Go on.
But I think how they should have done it is, I think you need to have a pre-established relationship between Ragman, Eddie Weinbauer, and Sammi Curr. You need to establish that relationship early on. So what my idea would be, if we were going to remake Trick or Treat, we won't. But just say we would. What I would do is I would have Eddie Weinbauer win a competition to meet Sammi Curr backstage at one of his gigs, and they have a conversation, and then there's these kind of subtle ideas that Sammy's maybe not quite all there, or he's a bit dodgy, or he's a bit weird, or he's a bit aggressive, or he'll flip out, or he's up to some dark shit, or he's doing drugs or something like that. Just like a little inkling, like he's still like, oh yeah, I'm your arrogant, I'm the rock god, you're my fan, you're my biggest fan, are you? That sort of stuff. And I would have it months later down the line. He's been sending him these letters, he's been reading these letters, and then he needs maybe this spell or this, incantation, whatever. It needs his biggest fan, his most loyal supporter, or something like that. So that's why he keeps the relationship going. And then when he does die, then we know he is sending the record to Eddie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He needs Eddie for this to work and to be given this, satanic power. And it's not as vague as what we get in the actual film. Because then when he meets Sammi, it's kind of it's not as interesting, or like it's not. There's something more I think could have been added, and because they're like, oh, we're just chatting like we've known each other forever, and again, it's very vague with the letters and whether it is meant for him or if it's just his idea of being his biggest fan. He must love me. This must be for me. These messages, or are they for everyone? That's what I would do, I think, and maybe again, kind of look at some of those other kind of holes, and maybe explain what the playing of the midnight would do. I would explain that, and maybe Nuke is in on it. Maybe he's the fact that he's not there at the end just feels really weird to me.
It does. I agree. I
was just like, even because he's there, like you can hear him. The driving to the radio station to stop this from being played, and you can hear him doing his, we're going to play it at midnight, Sammi Curr, and then he's just not there.
It's not there. Security guard's asleep, and he's gone. It is very bizarre. Unless Sammy's done away with him, we don't know, do we? Because Sammy's in there protecting his tape.
Yeah, exactly. He's all spinning. Like it's very like Poltergeist or something in there. Everything's around. What do you think of the kind of finale to the film, the kind of driving sequence and the bridge and all that? What do you think to that? Was that good?
I really don't want to speak.
But you're on a podcast, John. You've got to speak.
I know. But I'll be honest. It's like, again, like I said, I'm never a critique of a movie. I'm not much of a movie reviewer. Until obviously now I'm doing this, I'm looking at it different, but I think it's a very easy payoff for Eddie. I think it's very simple. I think it all starts where Sammi stumbles into the bathroom or whatever, and his hand goes in the toilet, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm going on to talk to Dan about this, and I'm going to have to mention that fucking shite. What the hell?
This dancer, this perfect performer, balance, technique, and he just stumbles all of a sudden.
The way he spins when he's belting out trick or treat.
He must get tangled up in the cord, surely.
Yeah,
all those spins.
Yeah, well, bloody hell, you'd have thought so. But yeah, I just think I think it's a little bit too easy.
Okay, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
A bit too easy, unfortunately. I'd love to know how Eddie got out of the car.
Yeah,
just underwater. He's struggling to open that door.
Because early in the film he gets trapped in his own car, and I think that's how he knows that's how he figures out how to get Sammi and stop him, because he kind of just escapes in the nick of time out of his own vehicle. And then and the ending just feels really rushed.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little bit rushed.
And again, it's kind of that, like, what happens if we do this? I don't know. Let's just fucking hurry up and finish the film now. Let's get to the end. Come on, we've only got an hour and a half. Move. Yeah. And it's so what happens is he gets a police car and he plays Sammy's music on the radio.
On the radio. Gives it a bit of mouth to get him.
That's
to
right.
Really, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then I think does he throw it in the back, like the radio or something in the back seat? I think it's something like that, because it's a police car.
The radio on the back seat, and obviously the police cars has the
gauze or something. The metal.
Yeah, so he can't get through to Eddie. He's going out for leather because Eddie's told him he's a bit of a pussy. Yeah, so he's got him in the back seat, got him trapped, drive the car into the river.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
And that really is it.
It kind of just ends there, really, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It's very, very staple of the 80s. It's like the villain's dead, credits,
Yeah, villain's dead. Bit of a snog. See you later.
Yeah. And again, I don't even think she likes metal. Or maybe she does like metal now.
Oh, God, yeah. No idea. She's, like I say, we don't really get much of it. Even accounting's a bit scary.
Yeah. She's got that very odd, like, I Dream of Jeannie costume. It's got this, like, massive ponytail going on.
Yeah.
And then, it's, when we've got to talk about Stan. We've not talked about Stan yet. So,
oh, Stan. He's a legend, that fella.
Yeah.
Says nothing. Just walks in, all Stallone-like.
Rambo's here.
Stambo.
Is she dressed as Madonna? Is that what she's dressed as?
I think she's got to be, yeah. There's no one else it can be. She's got to be Madonna. Madonna.
It's a very cheap version of Rambo and a very cheap version of Madonna.
It really is, yeah. And to be fair, it's a very cheap scene because the boom mic comes down from the up above.
No, that's Sammi. He's encroaching. Yeah. He's coming out of the walls, coming out of the cables. God, yeah, that is funny.
I mean, as things go on, bloopers or whatever in a movie, that's probably one of the worst I've ever seen.
I didn't even notice. I was that engrossed in the story of Stan and his.
Stan. It was Stan.
It was Stan that drew me in. I was like, oh yeah.
I think I can understand that.
He's chest out, good bod, sexy
it's
man.
Brilliant. It's just brilliant.
Oh dear.
The guy.
What a guy. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about Trick or Treat? Were there any other kind of moments?
No, I think there might have been, but I just cannot remember for the life of me. Well, as far as heavy metal horror goes, it's probably one of the best ones. Yeah,
I've not seen many. I'll be honest.
You've got to choose from. You've got to choose from Hard Rock the Zombies, fucking Rocktober Blood, which we nearly.
We almost did. I suggested we do a comparison because they even said, like, Gene Simmons even says Rocktober in this, doesn't he? So
yeah, that's dreadful.
Yeah. I did a little bit more research into it, and I was like, no, this is like zero budget.
And there's one thing that did make me laugh when. It's Ozzy again. Ozzy's saying, but it's not actually Ozzy. It's the guy who's interviewing him, and he brings out this record, "Do It Like a Dog." I assume that's all about animal behaviour, is it? Now, is he taking the piss, or is he being serious? I have no idea. It was just, it was like, shut up, man.
But I'll tell you what, that actor must have been having a ball, just like improvising with Ozzy, just seeing where he just fucking takes it. Like 45 minutes of improvising with Ozzy must have been, just glorious, like gloriously good, bad, whatever it was. But I imagine it was definitely some sort of type of interesting. Absolutely. But yeah, what a man. This is something I wanted to mention. I forgot to mention it. Charles Martin Smith. We said he likes to direct his animal pictures. Or talking animals or whatever they are, or sports playing animals. Did you know as well that he directed the pilot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Well, did he really?
Yeah,
I did not know that whatsoever.
So the director of Trick or Treat directed the first episode of Buffy, and who knows, if that wasn't that good, we might not have had Buffy. So maybe we owe Charles Martin Smith something. I mean, this kind of plays out like a Buffy episode. This could be a freak of the week, couldn't it? Like
it could be. I think there's a mixture of all sorts in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. Like you can feel like the X-Files kind of element as well. Like this could be a freak of the week X-Files type thing.
Well, this is the thing though. There is an episode of the X-Files, and I don't know if Glenn Morgan wrote it, which is kind of similar. I don't know, it's a Ghost Machine or something like that. No, maybe not that one. But there is something like this.
Yeah.
In it. And I've also wondered if Wes Craven got an idea for Shocker, because Shocker comes after this, doesn't it?
Yeah, 89, I think. Yeah.
Because there's a few similarities there. That's kind of a heavy metal movie, I guess. The soundtrack's very heavy. Alice Cooper, no more Mr. Nice Guy. And
electric powers going through TVs and electric sockets and stuff. So yeah, there's quite a similarity there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, this came first, so that's all I'll say.
Yeah. So fuck you, Wes Craven. Fuck you.
Oh, I love Wes Craven.
Even though this is ripping on stuff he created anyway. It's all and again, Shocker was his attempt at creating a new fucking Freddy. So again, it's the same old shit.
That's another one. That's another one that should have. It could have.
Again, Shock. I think Shocker's quite. I think you hit the nail on the head. Shocker is quite similar to this in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think I probably enjoy Shocker more. I think.
Yeah.
I love the bit where he possesses the little girl and she starts like swearing like a absolute trooper in the park. I just think that's fucking genius. And then when they're going through all the TV channels and shit, awesome, some awesome stuff. It's Wes Craven, so even a bad Wes Craven film, which I will be covering another Wes Craven film this month. Well, me and Tonya Todd are going to be looking at Deadly Friend.
Oh, really?
Which stars Christy Swanson, who was the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
All connected. Oh,
I look forward to that one. Definitely.
I don't think I will.
No. I have seen that movie.
Is this another one for you where it's like fond memories?
No. No.
Well, she's defending that. So, and I said you're gonna have it's a bit of an uphill battle for you. This one, I think, Tonya. She's like, I know it's not good. I'm like, I know neither, and I know this as well. So that's why I'm going to be interested to see what you say.
Oh yeah. No, I look forward to that one.
Yeah.
I think just going back to Shocker as well. There's your X-Files reference in there as well because you got Mitch Pileggi as
I want to say Horace
Pinker. Yeah. Horace Pinker.
Finger licking good. Yeah. There's a lot of DNA, I think, here with kind of Sammi Curr and Horace Pinker, definitely. That won't be a bad pair of films to compare, or a bad double bill if you're gonna because again you said, well, Max. Speaking of Shocker, actually, we only got one comment, John. So I'm sorry.
It was Max.
It was Max. Yeah. So I asked everybody about kind of what their thoughts on Trick or Treat were, or what their favorite heavy metal horror films were, anything like that, or heavy metal related movies, and then if there was any thoughts on maybe the Satanic Panic stuff. But yeah, Max got back to us luckily. So he says, Shocker, one of the greatest metal soundtracks, including this classic. So he's posted one of the songs from YouTube. I can't see what song it is, but
it's got Shocker in it. I think it's title track. Paul Stanley.
Yeah. Paul Stanley. That's the one. There you go. Yeah. Shocker then. Shocker from Shocker.
Can't argue with that. It's not a bad. It's not a bad soundtrack, and it is a really good track.
True. A lot of fun to be had with that film. I described it as what happens when you combine the name of a Spider-Man villain with the powers of another. So you've got that. No, I highly recommend. I recommend Shocker. I think this is very much in the same vein. A lot of fun to be had. It's campy, it's silly, and I think if you're into that kind of style, like if you don't take the whole it too seriously, that you can have fun. You can have fun with both. Again, I think there's quite a few problems with Shocker as well as this. Again, great fun to be had anyway. So, John,
yes.
I think we're coming to an end. So we have picked a lot of holes in this. I do apologise. I've ruined your childhood.
All right. No, well, you haven't ruined it. You haven't ruined anything. I'm still gonna fucking love it every time I watch it.
Play the track, get it on, play it backwards, all of that. This is your last argument. Why people should check it out, why they should watch it. What is it about Trick or Treat? I was going to say Shocker then, but that would be wrong. But what is it about Trick or Treat that you love, and what is it that drags you back? Like you said, you watch it all the time. The soundtrack's on all the time. Yeah. What is it for you that you think would appeal to a mass audience?
I don't know if I can make it appeal to a mass audience. However, if you are of a certain age, or you're a fan of the 80s, you grew up in the 80s or whatever, and you're a fan of rock music in general, or just the hair metal of the 1980s, then I think you've got to check it out. I think anybody who has a passion for rock music, I guess, Maybe that's a bit of supernatural horror. I think they'll just get a lot from it. I really, really do. I think, don't get me wrong, I have pricked holes in it, and I'm really not happy with myself for doing that. but there's so much to enjoy. It's a fun movie. It's a mixture of supernatural horror, slapstick comedy. You know, like you mentioned the Ferris Bueller earlier. But yeah, like I say, you got this great soundtrack. You've got, to be fair, you've got a great cast. I think Mark Price is perfect cast as Eddie Weinbauer. Particularly after, you know, was he Skippy in Family Ties?
He was
in Family Ties. And he's coming to this playing a totally different character whatsoever, and I think he absolutely nails it, just like he nails those bastards. Excuse me, language. But yeah, I just think there is a lot to be enjoyed. People will say it's not aged well, and that's fine.
Sure.
But I think it has. I think it's aged well enough to be enjoyed nowadays. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like I say, I'm not a critique. Just say, go out, watch it, enjoy it. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it again. I know one person who'd fucking rip it to shreds for starters. That's why I'm not recommending it for his podcast.
No, don't worry. I'll recommend it instead.
Perfect.
Excellent. There's another thing I forgot to mention as well. Like the apparently Mark Price, and again, I think you're right. I think he's absolutely spot on casting because I think nowadays, if you did remake this, the Eddie Weinbauer guy he'd be one of those like She's All That. They put fucking glasses on him, give him fucking long hair, and then he'd have the fucking washboard abs, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm so geeky. I'm so unattractive. Oh, nobody loves me." And you're like, "Fuck off. You're fucking, you know, you're a jock. You're fine.
Absolutely.
You know? You're absolutely fucking stunning as a young man." You know, and the why they picked Mark Price is because he does look like I'm not saying he's not an attractive man or unattractive or anything, but he looks like your average teenage boy. You know,
he does. I agree. That's right.
And that's why it works, I think. And again,
absolutely perfect casting.
Yeah, I think it's again what you were saying about the bullying aspect and the feeling like an outsider. I think everyone can relate to that. If it's heavy metal or, you know, if you're into musical theatre, you know, the exact opposite end of that. If, you know, whatever you may be into that might not be that mainstream. You know, I was into comic books when I was a kid, and they were like, "Oh, fucking stupid they are. Why do you like them? You're reading them. Why do you play footy?" You know, and that's, you know, I can, you know, whatever it is, I think if you feel like an outsider, you can get into this, you can see or you can use it. Again, it's got those satirical elements, those kind of parody elements. It's, you know, asking you to question, you know, the godlike, you know, pedestals we put celebrities on and musicians on, when actually they're probably just as damaged as everybody else. And all these kind of conservative religious groups and what they're doing and what's their agenda, what are they attempting to do, you know, with their power and abuse of that power, you know, and we should be careful of those as well. You know, it's never outright saying, you know, that's wrong or this is wrong, but it asks you to find the middle ground. And I think that's kind of the right way to be. You don't, you know, you can still enjoy heavy metal. You can still have, you know, it just means, you know, just don't take it crazy far, you know. And I'm sure, like we've seen, there's a lot of movies about that and heavy metal, like people just, you know, living it out to the, you know, the nth degree when you really probably shouldn't. But yeah, I agree. I think it's a blast. It's 90 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Help yourself. Like the whole film is on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Help yourself. It's there.
Absolutely.
You know, it's because I think the one I watched is actually still up, and that was from like 8 years ago. So I don't think they're taking it down anytime soon. So yeah, go and help yourself. It's, you know, it's in decent quality, so you can watch it. Again, I do think it needs, you know, remastering visually and through the audio and stuff, but you know, you get everything you need to out of that version on there, and it's the full film. You know, nothing's cut out, and yeah, it's a blast. I would definitely give it a go. Just know what you're going in for. I think, like, know the kind of tone. Again, the darker aspect. It's very much like you've got your slapstick comedy and this coming of age story and, you know, social high school stuff, but then you've also got this very dark, like, demonic kind of satanic stuff going on in the latter half of the film. And yeah, does it gel all the time? Maybe not. Does it, is it tonally a little bit off? But again, so many rewrites, and it's these holes and problems. Yeah, it's bound to. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention as well was apparently Mark Price said that he auditioned with Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. It's funny you say that. My lad told me that earlier today.
Yeah,
because I had no idea. And my son Aiden, he came down because he knew I was doing this. He says, "Did you know Keanu Reeves was it for that role?" I don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah,
that would have been a completely different Eddie Weinbauer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it would have worked because he's quite handsome. I think he's stereotypically handsome. Keanu.
Yeah, he's a good-looking fella, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if it would have worked, but yeah. And then anyway, he was cast as a metalhead.
Yeah.
A little later on by the same. I think it was the same producers. Actually, it was the same producers who did Bill and Ted. So
yeah.
So there you go. So and I think he was probably better suited for Bill and Ted. I think than this role.
Oh yeah, I think not just the way he looks as well, but his voice. He's got the voice for Bill and Ted. I think it's just. I know that sounds a little bit odd, but you know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, that's why they cast him, John. They were like, he's right. This is it. This is the guy.
Yeah.
And that's my last little detail. I think that we'll end with. But thank you very much, John. I've really, really enjoyed this. Enjoyed the discussion. I know you don't see yourself as a critique, but I think a critic in any way or critiquing of films. I think you've done a good job. Again, you still.
Thank you.
Even though we have put some holes in it, and I hope we haven't, hurt anybody's opinions on the film, I think they'll still love it just like you, regardless of its flaws. I love films that are full of flaws. Don't get me wrong, but I can still appreciate that they are flawed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a real fun kind of Halloween themed stuff. And again, we're not the only ones celebrating. Gutter Garbs and Fright Rags are putting out new merchandise. So
that made my day.
Yeah. I like the Gutter Garbs one. That reworking of the original poster looks absolutely amazing.
Does look good.
Yeah,
does look good.
Might have to get me one of those maybe.
I'm sure I will be doing.
So, John, I know you've not done a podcast before, but you have done some YouTube stuff, and you've guested on some other YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Where can people find your stuff and find your social media accounts?
So in respect to the YouTube stuff, the channel is called From the Show, which I appear on just now and again with a couple of friends of ours. I think we'll have a vlog from Popcorn Con that was just on at the weekend. That'll be coming soon.
Of course, you met was it Madeline Smith?
Madeline Smith. Yeah, she's lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, she was absolutely amazing, to be fair. Loved her. She was so nice. Yeah. She was really good.
I imagine she's a sweet lady.
Oh my word! Honestly, she was wonderful. But Kenneth Cranham, Hellraiser, Dr. Channer.
Nice. Oh yeah,
and Oliver Smith, who was Skinless Frank in Hellraiser 1 and 2.
Yes,
he was there as well. So
to Daddy.
Yeah, there you go. So that was it was a good weekend. So yeah, that's the YouTube stuff, and obviously I'm on Twitter, Instagram, John Hammond 73, and Facebook as well. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave all the links in the show notes so people can find them, and all the other stuff we've talked about. You can find me if you want to join the Prattalion and to be briefed in full on the Secret Boars. Swing over to Prattle World at www.spiderdanandthesecretboars.com, and don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle when you interact with us. And please subscribe to the Pop Culture Collective newsletter to find out what myself, Comics in Motion, and all the other related podcasts are up to week by week. And I'd also like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I'm Jack's Musing, Simon Cotton, Paul Meller, Max Byrne, Mike Burton, Angry Andy, Tonya Todd, Tony Farina, Math, Scott Hodgson, and Rhea Carrigan now. So quite a collection of wonderful
stuff.
So yeah, and you know what? They might just get this a little bit earlier than anybody else. So they get to hear your debut, all of the wonderful things you've said. They get that treat. They get that treat.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I'm only messing, John. Like you've been amazing, and I really enjoyed this discussion. I hope you do more. I hope you go on other podcasts. I hope VHS gets you on. Like, VHS should have had you.
I'd love to go on VHS.
Oh, they should have had you on. They should have had you on years ago, sir. They should have had you on years ago. But you just got to, if you're open to it, like they've heard you now. This is your audition for VHS now. This is it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Hey, you paid enough money towards them by now. You've chosen enough films. They know you well enough. So I think maybe, hint, Chris and Dave, maybe.
Yeah. I'm not sure those. My choice of films have not always been great, have they? I mean, they don't go as far as yourself.
Oh my god, yeah! Don't get me started on Necromantic again. Infamous.
I love my T-shirt though.
Yeah, like that Necromantic T-shirt is awesome. I thought that was really. I love the jars and everything. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. At least somebody enjoyed it. Yeah, but it's no Party at Kitty and Studs though, is it? So.
Oh god, no, not at all.
Who knows what I'm going to pick next? That's the question. What am I going to pick next?
I can't wait, Dan.
Who knows? Maybe I'll pick something I've already covered. Maybe.
Don't be picking this.
No, we'll find out. But yeah, thank you again, John. This has been brilliant.
Thank you.
And I hope you have, and everybody else has, a happy Halloween.
Bye-bye, everyone.